Look, it's pretty exciting for us to be here. Thank you, everyone, for uh, turning up on this special AMA. Obviously, we started our pre-sale already, and for those of you who have already seen the announcements and have participated, we did decide to open the pre-sale period up to general access. We knew we had a few tickets coming through where premium benefit wallet holders couldn't access. So what we decided to do was open it up to everybody. But I think we said in the announcement, if we do reach hard cap within the pre-sale period, any premium benefit wallet holder will be honoured with their allotment. We will honour their allotment that they wish to purchase. But look, this AMA. We decided to do this AMA just so we could go over Mainnet-Beta, answer some of the questions and queries that we've seen come through in the community, and we've been collating those. We've been working with the X team as well, who've been excellent in helping give us the feedback and queries and questions that need to be answered. And also, we want to go a little bit more detail into a little bit more detail around Mainnet-Beta itself and what you can do during Mainnet-Beta. So today's AMA is going to be running through Mainnet-Beta. We're also going to touch on the different aspects of Mainnet-Beta. We're going to run through some common FAQs that we've been seeing in the community. And we're also going to start with just a little bit of an update around seeing NFTs, allocations, and referral bonuses as well. So I think, Chief, if you want to kick us off, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks, Spark. So, all right, it's really good to be here. It's on a balmy Sunday evening. The very first thing I want to cover off is really around things like the NFTs and the token allocations and the various referrals. Now, we have actually noted that there's been a few little issues with the data, and it transpires that some of the data that wasn't actually picked up, that some of it was missing when we did the load. So we're actually working through that again now to correct some of those errors. What I can say is that we should have that resolved by the end of this coming week. And yeah, it's quite simple. We just didn't pick it up. We've gone through and done some extensive testing and proven that certain elements were not there. So we will resolve that. We do have all of the data, just some of it wasn't picked up. When it comes to the NFTs, if anybody is missing any NFT allocations that they believe they should have, then simply raise a ticket in Discord and we'll investigate each one individually. Now, we have actually got there's a website page and we will post that in the blog that we're putting up about this AMA, and you'll be able to go to that link and look up your NFT and your referrals from there.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. So yeah, just an update for everybody. We knew that was a query and question going through the community. So as Chief said, we've picked up where we've missed picking up some of the data so it can flow through for you to go check your allocations, your NFTs, your referral bonuses, and the team's onto that, and we'll be have that completed by the end of this week, which is great. And then getting on to the main portion of the AMA, we're going to go through Mainnet-Beta and a few different aspects around Mainnet-Beta, so people are a lot more clear about what Mainnet-Beta is, what it means for you, and how it will roll out over these coming months. I thought I'd just start by talking about why we looked at a Mainnet-Beta phase and why we're rolling with a Mainnet-Beta phase and then into a full mainnet phase come end of January where the token will be tradable. And this process has been in the works for probably 2 months now. We had some advice there where it was worthwhile. Oh, someone's coming through. Someone's got their mic. Whose mic's that? It's either Merkel or Chief. Oh no, Chief maybe. Okay, I'll just get you guys to mute for a second. So we had some advice to review our mainnet rollout and also our tokenomics. And so what we did was we actually engaged 3 different expert companies over a period of about 6 weeks and working with all 3 of them And the feedback was consistent across all three, that that it would be advantageous to establish a period of time which allowed for more growth for potential users, quality projects, before making the token tradable. And that's why when we talk about Mainnet-Beta today, you'll see that the interop or the cross-chain interoperability will be in use over Mainnet-Beta phase. We'll have the DEX on Mainnet-Beta phase and DeFi products on the DEX. We'll be focusing on games over Mainnet-Beta phase and also wallet use and adoption. And what that does, it allows for us, in terms of the feedback we've got from those experts, to then increase the potential users and quality projects on the protocol over that Mainnet-Beta phase. And the second consistent feedback we got from the three expert companies we work with is also having that period of Mainnet-Beta allows us to showcase the key elements of the protocol while building liquidity. So it allows us to say, look at the DEX, for example, the DEX project allows us to showcase what's the difference between L1X and the rest of the DEXs out there across all these blockchains. So it allows us to show that how they connect into other chains and kind of pool liquidity in a way that they can offer, I suppose, DeFi services that aren't seen in crypto before or haven't been seen in blockchain before, while at the same time building a liquidity pool for L1X prior to the token being tradable. And that was a really important part of the feedback we got, and that we're being able to build that into a Mainnet-Beta phase. Also, I suppose there is a bonus there as well. It also gives us a bit more time to bring on even more CEXs when we do start to list at the end of January. And then lastly, and which is probably the most important phase of Mainnet-Beta, it allows us to actually build up the security and initiate good participation in the protocol through staking over the Mainnet-Beta phase. Because as we progress through Mainnet-Beta, and we'll talk about this as we go through the Mainnet-Beta description, is that as we adopt more users, more projects are building using the SDKs, there's more activity on chain, and also there's also the build-up of staking and full nodes, which we'll talk about during in this AMA. All of that adds to the security and, I suppose, the robustness of the protocol. So when we do come to full mainnet and the token is tradable, then we're in a much better place in terms of security and having the protocol be robust as well over this 5-month period of Mainnet-Beta. So just to kind of, and I start with that just to kind of communicate to the community that this was a work in progress with some pretty well-known names within the blockchain space, expert companies around tokenomics and on launch process that we work with over that period. And just to know that any decision that we make for LayerOneX protocol will always be in the best long-term interest of the protocol. And in direct, I suppose, the direct benefits or beneficiaries of those decisions will then be the long-term holders of the L1X coin as well. Because we're looking, and I suppose if anyone's seen the roadmap that we released a couple of days ago, there's some pretty game-changing things happening on that roadmap. I think you'll agree. I know a few people mentioned it in the chat. We've got so into next year, we've got the Bitcoin programmability layer that we'll be adding further beyond 25-27. That's when we'll actually be building out the cloud computing, the operating system, the hardware, and also the app store, all decentralized through the LayerOneX system. And those things they're massive projects, but they're also massive markets that we'll be accessing as we build out into these coming years. And I think it just shows that we have that long-term focus, that we have a roadmap that extends all the way out to 2027, because that's where we're looking. And then I suppose if you see that roadmap and where we're going in 2027, all the pieces before that make sense. The crosstalk interoperability, well, that has to be a key component of the end goal of LayerOneX, because the cross-chain future must have some sort of interoperability there that allows for faster, safer, and cheaper transactions cross-chain. So that's a bit of an intro into why we've gone through the mainnet beta and the process that we took before coming to this, and just knowing that any decisions that we do make will always be for the long-term benefit of the protocol, which in turn will be for the long-term benefit of the long-term holders of the L1X coin. So obviously I'm joined here today by a few others, joined here by Cryptonaut and also Merkle Root, and I'm sure you guys are keen to hear them talk a little bit about mainnet beta as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off with talking about the mainnet beta phase. So the mainnet beta period, of the 5 months is actually broken up into 2 phases. And those phases, and just so you know, the AMA that we have today will be recorded, and we've also written out a blog that we'll be posting as well that breaks down all this information. But the mainnet beta phase or period is broken into 2 phases. Phase 1, and that's what we'll talk about now. We'll talk about phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, the timeline of phase 1 will be from now up until the 30th of September. And then phase 2 will begin on the 1st of October. And then that will continue all the way up until the end of January, when we'll go into full mainnet and the token will be tradable. So I'm going to get, as we go through these phases, I'm going to go break these down into different sort of subheadings as we go through the phases. But I'm going to get Cryptonaut to talk a little bit about, once the public sale, once mainnet beta launches, claiming of L1X tokens. How is that going to happen, and when will that be available? Thanks, Cryptonaut.
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're at in the world. We're excited that you're listening in on this AMA, and hopefully we can answer some of your questions. And one of those questions that definitely have popped up is around how to claim your L1X tokens, especially after the public sale has ended. So with that, let's just kind of jump into it. When it comes to claiming the L1X token, it's basically going to be broken down in a couple of different things. So first, I think it's imperative for us just to establish that these coins, they'll be generated and distributed and will basically occur when the following creation of the Genesis block has been done. So all those tokens will be put on that. Once that happens, there will be a spot inside of the wallet that will allow you to basically one click over. It'll be clearly indicated, you can't miss it. It'll basically be on the home screen where you log in, after you log in, kind of thing, and get your wallet open that way. And you'll be able to click on it, and it will take you over to the L1 DEX. And from there, you'll be able to claim your tokens and sync them up with your L1X wallet. It's imperative that you have the L1X wallet to claim those tokens, and we'll be coming out with more information on this as we get closer to that time. But there will definitely be more detailed instructions, when we'll release it, when you can go in and claim, and this will all be done prior to the generation and release, like I mentioned. By doing it this way, it allows the users to claim their tokens right into their wallet and pretty much just set yourself up ready to go for staking into the protocol level. And we'll have more information around why that's important and what you'll be able to do once you claim. So the allocation of these coins will be basically started when the Genesis block has been created. So if you're in a vesting period for pre-sale, things like that, it will basically start at the beginning of the Mainnet-Beta, so the end of August. So nothing has changed there for people that have participated in that. As we've mentioned before, the staff will have a little bit longer and a little different thing, but that doesn't affect you guys. The public sales, if you have more questions around this and how it will work, I want you to reference page 91 of the white paper. There'll be some great information in there and can kind of clear a few things up there when it comes to claiming and the generation of the tokens.
Yeah, I think that page 91 that's the reference, I think, for the tokenomics themselves. So if you've got that, has all the tokenomics on page 91 of the white paper. But also, I suppose, claiming is one part of phase one of Mainnet-Beta, but also starting to build on LayerOneX is an important part of Mainnet-Beta phase one as well. So Milko, could you talk to us a little bit about what's being put in place so people can start building and what they can start building as well?
Yeah, I think firstly, I was going through Discord and I rarely go through our socials, but I was pretty happy to know that, later on people or, L1Xs were realizing the importance of this mainnet beta phase and switching on to the, building on L1X. I think what is more important for us is, focus, as I've always said this, right? And for the first 6 months, that's, phase one and phase two of Mainnet-Beta, we will be focusing on DeFi projects mainly, but also we will be demonstrating about the L1X identity and the L1X gaming SDK. Because firstly, we want to go out there and grab the $7 billion bridge market. And for that, we will be releasing the DeFi SDK that will allow the developers and the projects to start building from August onwards. And so later down the line, probably around October, is the time where the L1X ID will be available. So more information on this will be released later on. Before I get into the launch of the wallet, maybe I'll get Cryptonaut to go through it. I know you must be having some questions on the nodes and how you can start hosting nodes or maybe participate in the validation process. I'll get Cryptonaut to go through over the wallet side of the things, and then I'll move over the nodes.
Sure. Let me switch back here real quick. So when it comes to the L1X wallet and the adoption of it, as we've mentioned in the previous AMA of this week, previous week, we mentioned that we're going to be releasing the L1X wallet SDKs, and that'll allow developers to use the library to send payloads to the protocol and basically start integrating the L1X wallet into their projects, which is going to definitely be one of those things that will take some time, but we're making that readily available as quickly as possible so that we can start building that experience. Likewise, we're releasing the L1X Google Chrome extension, which will allow users to create their their L1X accounts and interact with the smart contracts that are provided by L1X and other projects as well that adapt to using the wallet. And these will be basically used where you can use the L1X coins to transact with. And those fees, you'll be able to use the L1X coin for those fees as well. And that will all only be able to be done on the L1X network, only for the Mainnet-Beta phase. And some of those include peer-to-peer trading of the L1X coin in 2023, which should be released, I think we're anticipating right around Q4 of 2023. So that's pretty exciting. There's going to be some more details coming out on that later. The other thing we're going to do is implement an on-ramp option is on the table and proposed for Q3 of this year. Likewise, we're also looking at the ability to view your full validator node through an NFT, which is kind of a game changer there as well. And then all of the contributors that have participated in the public sale that buy 2,000 or more L1X coins and they'll receive early access to the L1X wallet. However, you do still have to go in and pre-register for the apply for early access to the wallet. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend that you do, because if you can do those two things, you will gain access to early access to be able to do the peer-to-peer trading.
Yeah, I might just jump in now to talk about acquiring the L1X node NFTs. So the only way for the first 12 months to host a full validator node or one of the other node types that we will be launching with is through an NFT. And before I get into how do you acquire that NFT, a bit information on this would be we will be launching with an initial set of boot up nodes that will host the Genesis block, as Cryptonaut was talking about. And the nodes are divided into three different parts. The first one is the event listener node, the transaction execution, that's the full validator node, and signing broadcasting. So the L1X system on the full validator node, the requirement for hosting that node is 50,000 L1X coins. And the requirement for hosting an event listener node is 10,000 L1X coins. So the only way to acquire this NFT is by participating in the public sale. So just a bit of information over here in terms of the option to lock in your L1X coins. So for example, if someone goes out there and purchases or acquires 50,000 L1X coin in the public sale, they have the option to lock in their L1X coin. So what that will mean is if you lock in, you can't sell those L1X coins for that set of time. But you will be able to host your validator node, earning rewards or certain fees that we collect on the network. In terms of lowering the barrier to entry for the second type of the validator node, we have the event listener node where 10,000 L1X coins will be locked in, and these coins will not be tradable if you decide that you want to run a node. The good thing about these NFTs are that you can sell these NFTs to node operators, or you could lease these NFTs out, or you could even lead a liquidity pool where each and every person holding a minimum of 100 L1X coin can delegate their coins to you. So it's not compulsory that if you don't have more coins to add up after the 50,000 coins that has been locked in, you could lead a liquidity pool that other people can actually delegate you to. The fees and the rewards are pretty interesting. I'll get probably Spark to speak about the fees, but before Spark goes on, we will be releasing the hardware requirements, the other set of rewards calculations probably by the 1st of August this year.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and do that, Merkle route. So look, a couple of things that we've just mentioned, I'll just kind of recap. So Cryptonauts mentioned the wallet. So ultimately where Cryptonaut and the team are heading with this wallet is that the wallet will become, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself to a few people here, but if we've got some new listeners, the wallet will basically become your interface for blockchain. Now, how is that possible? Well, underneath the wallet, because, and this is quite a unique thing, that a layer one actually gets to have a team, internal team working on a wallet that has cross-chain ability with any chain that LayerOneX connects to. So what that allows, it allows us to build that interface through the wallet that now people can access any of these chains, any tokens and applications, all through this one interface. And that's where the wallet is building up to. I don't know, Cryptonaut, if you want to add any more around the wallet and kind of your vision there and what people can, obviously we're starting at a certain point and this will be building up for iterations along the way, but obviously that big picture of where the wallet's heading.
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone to realize that a wallet is just basically a browser to the blockchain, right? And so if we look at it that way, there's prime opportunity for somebody to step up and really flip the whole wallet experience upside down. And that's one thing that we aim to do. And one of the things that we look to do and how to do it is going to be heavily dependent upon the identity that we're going to be rolling out. Once we can roll that out, because we combine that with the interoperability, the world's our oyster, right? It allows us to basically make things a lot more simple in terms of UI. It allows us to basically put a lot of things under the hood. So we start making a smarter wallet. And then on the flip side is that it allows us to have a completely new dynamic experience that's totally customizable to the user. So I think that that's the most important thing moving forward, because we all like to have our own skins, and I'm talking more than just changing the color or the skin of the wallet. I'm talking about being able to organize it the way you want, being able to have the flexibility and freedom to toggle between different things. And that's why after 2024, when we release the final kind of rendition of what I'm viewing as the wallet, I don't know if we can call it a wallet anymore. It's almost going to be an experience. And as developers come onto L1X to develop, they're going to develop their projects. They're going to want to develop their projects on top of the Wallet OS system, which is almost like an app that you find on your phone, right? And the reason why they want to do that is because they create one app and they're able to tap into all the different experiences that we provide. The Chrome extension, the browser wallet, the mobile native apps, the web apps we want to create. And those are just a few suggestions. And where we could take this is endless. That's why we're talking about hardware, right? There's a good thing to kind of connect the dots there with that as well. But what does that mean for you as the user using the wallet? It means more security. It means that we're setting a new standard for projects building that they have to basically create to a certain level. Plus, what it ultimately does is it puts you back into control of your data, and you control what data is being shared with the different projects and DEXs and CXs that you're connecting to, right? So that's where it gets really exciting for me, and it's endless of where we're going to be able to take this once we get these foundational pillars put into place with the wallet.
Oh, yeah, no, thanks, Cryptonaut. And I think you've got some documentation coming out around the wallet NFTs, right? And almost how you're going to structure those NFTs that allow for the premium benefits. I think that's coming out in probably sometime in early August. I think you got that planned.
Correct. Yep, we're gonna flush that out a little bit more and make it more intuitive and easy to understand. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Brilliant. And then Merkle, I know before moving on, you touched on the full nodes and having the opportunity to be able to host a full node on the LayerOneX protocol, and you talked about those two different types of nodes, and because obviously that you had the full validator node, which was the 50,000 tokens staked to be able to run that node, and you also mentioned there that to be able to be eligible for that, you've got to participate in the public sale. Now, I'm pretty sure we had that prior. It was a $50,000 investment in the public sale gave you the right to access the NFT, right? To be able to use those tokens acquired to get an NFT. And we'll have more information about how you use your tokens to get that NFT. But we've actually dropped that now to, rather than having 50,000 in the public sale, we've dropped that down to 25,000. When I say 25,000, I mean 25,000 US. So that's 50,000 tokens. And then that is actually enough for you to be able to then access this NFT. So all the requirement now is just 25,000 US, and then you'll be eligible to use those tokens to access the NFT if you want to. And then you mentioned the event listener nodes, which were only 10,000 L1X tokens. So obviously within the public sale, it's even less. If people contribute less, then they get the option to access the event listener node NFT as well. Now these nodes will be limited. So there will be a limited number that they're going to have on offer, and we'll be identifying who will be able to run those nodes through the NFT. So, but Mirkelrud, I thought maybe just touching on, there's those two type of nodes there. Is that unique to LayerOneX, or is that something that you're always going to get with protocols? And what do those two nodes do? What's the difference there?
Yeah, I think because from a very long time, you've got layer one protocols launching that focus on scalability and cheapness. I think with layer one, what we bring to the table is cross-chain asset and information transfer, where you are retrieving information from any chains out there that we connect with. And this is where the event listener node is listening to the events. And because each and every experience, even from the development standpoint, is unique to L1X, you're passing on that information to the transaction execution, or the execution environment on the LayerOneX protocol that has to have the complete global state of that blockchain, which is L1X. And the reason we have separated this is because it allows us to scale, unlike bridges, where they don't have a layer one virtual machine, number one. And number two, if you look at cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP, from Chainlink, and what they are currently doing with, let's say, even Uniswap, for example, they can only do that because they both are built on Ethereum, right? Now, the point of difference between us is the transactions are going to be much cheaper. For example, if I'm listening to an Ethereum event and I need to do, probably, let's say, I have lended on Ethereum and I want to probably borrow on Avalanche and Polygon, to swap my token in, Solana. This may cost you 5 transactions on, these chains, which would be multiplied by, a factor of 2, because cross-chain interoperability protocol, first of all, does not interact with Solana. And secondly, they host another smart contract. So every time you do a single transaction, you're paying twice for the same thing. In our case, you're only paying once, and you could add any kind of customization as you require. So this is where I think, and it's good that the market right now thinks CCIP has, is going ahead in terms of interop, and this is the limitation it's got. But when L1X is out there and they see what you can do with L1X, then they know the actual point of difference. So I'm pretty happy on that standpoint. So these are the two ways we segregate the roles and responsibilities of the node. So the system can scale not only scale from a native standpoint, but it can scale securely from an interoperable standpoint.
No, thank you. That's great. So fairly unique. And then, so now the opportunity to actually host your own node, own and host your own node, will be available in the public sale at those two different, I suppose, value points in terms of tokens: 10,000 for the event listener nodes and 50,000 for the full validator nodes. It's funny you bring up the CCIP, the Chainlink's integration or interoperability that they're talking about. And I think I've seen in quite a few different articles, and is that cross-chain is potentially becoming a bit of a narrative within the blockchain space. which is really exciting for LayerOneX and LayerOneX community developers, L1X coin holders. As that narrative does build, it will allow us to be part of that narrative and be able to speak on the differences between these other interoperability products and the level up that LayerOneX takes it to. And just specifically, just one example, difference between CCIP and LayerOneX is that we can actually transfer assets and logic amongst EVM and non-EVM, in fact, any chain, which is quite unique, where the CCIP will be EVM restricted. So in terms of that, thank you for clarifying that, Merkle. Thank you for clarifying Cryptonaut. I want to talk now in terms of Mainnet-Beta Phase 1 as well. This will also continue into Phase 2, of course, is the ability to stake. So there's really two ways you can major ways you can participate within the LayerOneX protocol in terms of helping secure the protocol. And the first one Merkle already talked about, which was hosting your own node. Now, obviously, that may not be for everyone. There is a lot of interest actually in terms of the nodes. We've had a ton of interest in people wanting to host the nodes. But for those who even just the word of hosting a node makes them shiver because it sounds too technical, that's fine. You still have the ability to be able to stake or delegate your L1X coins to stake on the nodes. And what that basically means is that you have some L1X coins, you'd like to participate in the securing of the L1X protocol. You do that by staking or delegating those your L1X coins into the protocol pool, and that is distributed to stake on one of the nodes. And for participating, you are rewarded in L1X tokens, and that comes through the fees generated on the L1X protocol and the distribution of those fees to the nodes. Now, interestingly enough, LayerOneX protocol has a couple of different avenues of fees. Now, you have the traditional Layer 1 protocol fees, where you have the applications and the transactions generated on the native protocol itself. And then you have, with LayerOneX, the unique feature that there's also the crosstalk interoperability, which will also generate fees as well, which is still coming through the consensus mechanism, but is now connecting to other chains through that process. So having those two avenues is fairly unique within a Layer 1. So to be able to do that, if looking to stake those coins, and I personally will be doing the same, is that you'll need a minimum of 100 L1X coins to be able to then go ahead and delegate your stake. And what happens is then you'll basically commit those L1X coins into a token pool, and those tokens will be then delegated to a full node. More information about that process, how you can actually complete that process, will be coming out in about mid-August. So it'll be coming out at least a couple of weeks prior to the Mainnet-Beta launch, so everyone understands exactly what they need to do and how it works. But I can tell you now that there's a couple of questions in the community about what is the APR around the staking, and I'll just kind of explain how it works in terms of the distribution of L1X tokens for the staking. Now, for those who don't know, APR is basically the interest rate. What is the interest or the, I suppose, the percentage of rewards versus my stake that I get for staking my L1X tokens? Basically, if I stake this amount of tokens, how many tokens do I get back on, or what percentage of my stake do I get back over a year in terms of rewards? And so with L1X and staking, we have, rather than an APR, because an APR is basically a percentage of rewards over the amount staked, there's two things. One, being a Layer 1 and being a foundation, we can't even talk about APR because because we are a utility, not a security. But also, two, it would almost be extremely hard to quantify the APR because there's variables that come into play, the amount of tokens distributed versus the amount of tokens staked. But what I can tell you is that there has been approximately 10 million L1X coins allocated to the validator staking rewards just during the mainnet phase. So just within that mainnet beta phase, and it will continue on beyond the mainnet beta phase, but within that 5 months, we have 10 million L1X coins allocated to validator staking, which is pretty exciting. But as I say, for those who maybe haven't done it before, for those who have done it before, you know exactly what to do. But for those who haven't done it before, more instructions will be coming out in the middle of August. Now, if anyone's participated in staking prior, I can give you a little bit of a tip on the earlier, the better. Because what will happen is, if you can imagine, well, when I say the earlier, the better, traditionally, the earlier you stake, obviously you're going to be staking for longer, so more rewards will be there. But the vesting period for everyone starts, other than the team doesn't start until next year, but for every other investor level, starts in August. So the early investors and the private sale investors, they'll vest for 15 months, but they will start at Mainnet-Beta launch, right, which is the end of August. Public sale contributors, they will be unvested, but they will receive their tokens at the Mainnet-Beta launch. Now, if you can imagine, if there's rewards coming out every month and there's vesting happening as well, then those rewards, more and more tokens will be staked. But obviously those rewards will continue to vest out over those 5 months, and there'll be 10 million of them. So if you want to take advantage of that, then I would encourage you to stake early. I want to move on now to the L1 DEX, and Chief, if you want to give us a little bit of insight into the L1 DEX, maybe what they're doing, what they're going to be providing. I think there's been a lot of questions from the community around that as well during the mainnet beta phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mark. Look, I think we're all starting to realise the power of some of the projects that are coming onto LayerOneX, and we have been really excited to work with the DEX team. Delivering a DEX is one of the primary focuses for LayerOneX. And this capability is going to lead to the creation of some really significant new markets, increased liquidity, and really enhanced user experiences. To give you an idea, new markets, the tokenization of assets, of real-world assets, that's something that will potentially be coming across to the DEX. And the DEXs have emerged as they're really a cornerstone of blockchain, enabling trustless and permissionless trading. But the lack of interoperability has always hindered and limited the scope of these of traditional DEXs. But obviously we've got a very novel solution in providing all that, the cross-chain capabilities. Now, the L1 DEX, as we know it, will be the first DeFi project on LayerOneX that will be using the LayerOneX DeFi SDK, or software development kit, allowing users to do native and cross-chain stakes, swaps, lending and borrowing, and also with a configurable balancer pool. Now, more information on that is going to be will be released, so if you don't quite understand what some of those things are, don't panic. We'll be releasing information. The L1 DEX guys are actually in the middle of writing their light paper at the moment, so they'll be releasing that. The DEX will leverage all sorts of LayerOneX capabilities, things like the smart contract interfaces, with all the various required methods and events within the SDK. We will also be providing these to other DEXs to enable developers on those DEXs to build their first crosstalk smart contracts. So we've got some pretty significant features coming with the DEX. Again, when they release that white paper, I think it'll be a pretty good read.
I totally agree with you, Chief. Look, the L1 DEX guys have already kind of given us some sneak peeks at the UI, so the user interface that they'll be using, and it looks really good. And yeah, I can't wait for the light paper to get into people's hands, and so they can see exactly what the DEX is going to be able to do for them if they're DeFi enthusiasts. So moving on now, thank you, Chief. Thank you very much for the update. So I just maybe, Merkelrud, if you could talk about how all these kind of wrap into securing over that mainnet beta phase, that opportunity we have now to secure the protocol, increase, improve scalability, all the sort of things that play into helping the protocol prior to the tradability of the token at the end of January, and then maybe the testing that's already ongoing and that will continue to through the mainnet beta phase as well.
Yeah, I think one of the most important feature of a layer one protocol is to make sure that it's got a secure base of the total value locked. And I think for the next 5 months, the ability to participate in acquiring the node NFT, and also in the coming year in the mainnet launch, having the ability to increase the total value locked on the network, it reduces the probability of dumping the coins, I would say, because it allows us enough ammunition over the next few months to demonstrate the utility of what the protocol can do from a technology standpoint. And even if we opened up the trading in August, which would be a disaster, I sincerely believe that the protocol would not have been able to demonstrate what it could do, and because there wouldn't be any eyes on it, if the coins were dumped. And I think from a security standpoint, having at least 50 to 60%, of the coins that are locked on the nodes would probably help us in securing the network in the long run. And that would not have been possible right now. I mean, think about it. If we unlock the coins and we are raising more capital than we are going to raise, than we were going to raise before, even after that, there will be, an equivalent amount of coins in circulation in January. So the amount of coins in circulation in January and the concept around people dumping it doesn't stand, because most of them, even half of them, let's say, are locked into the protocol, into the nodes. The other ones would have the utility of going and staking it into the DEX. So this is a long-term project. And I think, very boldly speaking here, anyone upset about, coins not being able to trade in August, I think should have an open mind, understanding that there are other projects to, pump and dump, but this is not one of them. This is here to stay. And I think the most important factor is demonstrating the utility of what we can do versus the other protocols out there who are trying to do this from the last 5 years. And this is the year where we'll be demonstrating that.
Yeah, I totally agree there, Merkelrud. And also, like, over that, so basically over that mainnet beta phase where we're building up the staking, we're building up the nodes, we're building up the liquidity, we're building up the users. So when we do get to the tradability of the token, there is less chance of that dump, coming up when the tradability happens, because all of the liquidity, the users, the node staking has already happened prior to the actual launch.
That's right.
Which was a key recommendation from the tokenomics experts that we work with, to be able to do it in this structure.
100%. And if you think about it, I mean, we have even increased the vesting of the team members. If we were to be assholes, we would have, reduced it to 12 months instead of increasing it to 24 months. So I think the community has seen that. And, more importantly, it's not about the team members pumping it and dumping it out there, but it's about the protocol in itself that has to stand the test of time.
100%. And look, I think as you mentioned, by the team actually cliffing and investing out for longer and at a later date, I think that just shows that there's a long-term view here. And once again, if you haven't looked at the roadmap, have a look at the roadmap. You'll see what where the long term is heading for LayerOneX, what their vision is, and those milestones along the way as well.
Maybe Spark, it's time to talk about the capital raise and the P2P trading. Maybe the community needs to hear that.
Great idea. Yeah, great idea. If you want to maybe lead us off there, Merkel Root, that'd be great.
All right. Yeah, I think first of all, we started the public sale in the last week. Congratulations to all of us in starting the public sale at a fully diluted market cap of $500 million. I think all the L1X supporters, I think this is a pat on your back. Probably 0.001% of where we are heading towards, but it's a step forward. Now, again, taking another step forward, in the valuation and in the public sale. So the public sale is going to be divided into two different parts. And the reason we are doing this is we want to complete the public sale, as soon as we can, so we can get on with, focusing only on the utility of the protocol. So the first phase is going to last for the first 50 million coins that will be allocated to raise 25 million US. And if you work out the numbers, that comes to 50 cents per L1X coin. So the first phase will last until the first 50 million coins are acquired. And the second phase, we are expecting to raise around 50 million US dollars. And the total amount of L1X coins that are going to go out is 100 million, which will, 100 million, which includes the first phase, raised from the first phase. So if you think about it, it's $50 million for 25 million at 50 cents in the first phase. And in the phase 2, it's $50 million for 50 million coins. That's $1. I think if you work out the numbers, around $1 or so. Anyways, now coming to the P2P trading, on the L1X protocol, we've heard from the community that the L1X coin should be tradable. So I think we are not against it, but it has to be done in a controlled environment so that none of us at the end of the day suffer out of this, right? So the ability to trade L1X coins via peer-to-peer trading will be available in Q4 this year, and it will be sooner rather than later. Stage 1 of the P2P for the first week of P2P trading will only be restricted to seed investors and private sale contributors. So only seed investors and private sale contributors will be able to P2P trade. The second stage, which is the second week, or the time after the first phase or the first stage, it will be restricted to seed investors, private sale contributors, and those who purchase at least 2,000 L1X coins or more in the public sale. From the third week onwards, access to all. So everyone will be able to go and trade, in the P2P trading. And I think this is the time where the first week could be extended to, let's say, 2 weeks, and then only the other guys could come in after the private sale contributors. So I think this is the time where we demonstrate that the people who believed in us even during the private sale will always be put first. And I was just mentioning to someone in the comments right now. So there will be a minimum sell price put on the trade of the L1X coin. So for example, it could be 60 cents, it could be 65. There will be a minimum sell price below which you will not be able to sell, at least in this restricted period of the P2P trading. And more details regarding the P2P trading will be released later in the before the Q3 or later part of Q3 this year.
Okay, so that's. I hope everyone was listening to that section of. If you weren't, go back and listen to it, and get the calculator out, and you may be very pleasantly surprised. but look, yeah, thank you for sharing that, Merkle Root. As he said, we have the mainnet beta also gives us the ability to raise more, and that also is in 2 phases. And as Merkle Root gave you pretty much enough information to work out yourself, you definitely want to be in both phases, but there is an incentive for you to be in also the public sale phase if you do have a calculator. But go ahead, listen to that. We can't go into too much more detail ourselves on it here, but we will be releasing more information. And then secondly, the P2P trading. So that was a great option that we worked with the DEX guys to be able to do that. And there will be more information coming on that later on in Q3, but there will be a minimum sell restriction on the sell price restriction on the P2P trading, and the first access to P2P trading will be for the early investors and the private sale contributors as well. So just to repeat that, the early access will be for them, and then it'll be in stages where eventually everyone will have access to that P2P trading, but more details to come.
I don't see the private sale investors pretty excited in the chat room, Matthew. Do you think that? Do you think
Well,
it was?
Yeah,
we shouldn't do that.
I think they're all gonna. I mean, they're probably going to do what I'm going to do, is stake them. So, yeah, it's really why. It's exactly. We just got a PK. Great. I'm with you, PK. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, look. Moving on. Thank you for explaining those 2 very crucial parts. And look, once again, I'll just repeat this to everybody listening. This is recorded. We will be putting out an updated blog with the details of the 2 phases and all the components we talked about as well. Merkelwood, if you could maybe just give us a bit of a list here on what are some of the things, the features, and what will users be able to do during the mainnet beta phase? What can they do?
Yeah. So I'm just reading off the list that Spark provided me as a summary. But anyways, I think the main utilities, and features that the users will be able to access during the mainnet beta is staking, of course, acquiring the node and hosting them, creating the fungible token and non-fungible token, performing staking and swapping as well, cross-chain, along with lending and borrowing. You will be able to use, the P2P trading, of course, and L1X as the gas fee on the LayerOneX protocol only for now. And that's only on the LayerOneX protocol. And after the mainnet, which is in January, you will be able to use L1X as the gas fee on the source and the destination chains as well, because that will increase the buying pressure on L1X initially before people can start using it. But we need to have enough liquidity available on these chains to be able to pay for the gas as well. So that's going to happen after the mainnet launch.
Merkelrod, I think you bring up a couple of good points there. The one was, you just mentioned there was the utility fee. So we've talked about the wallet having the ability to be, for L1X to be a universal gas utility across multiple chains. And so for that to happen, there's liquidity provided on each of those chains. Now, that will take place come full mainnet launch at end of January, where that liquidity can then be placed onto those chains for that universal gas feature to happen. But during mainnet beta, you can still use the L1X token for gas transactions. But the interoperability will still be able to be used through the wallet, I believe, Merkelroot, in terms of going cross-chain between chains. We'll still be able to use that. And
so even if you don't hold L1X coins, you will still be able to swap coins and interact with L1X smart contract. It's amazing how I say that, but yeah, you will be able to do that even if you don't hold L1X coins.
There you go. And so the interoperability be up. And I think that just comes back to that Mainnet-Beta phase is really an amazing way for us to be able to showcase these features prior to full mainnet in January. We'll be able to use, and I'll just kind of go over those things that Merkel mentioned. Staking will be available. You'll be able to acquire, the node NFTs and then host those nodes. You'll be able to create fungible tokens, create non-fungible tokens, lending, borrowing, the P2P trading, which is peer-to-peer trading. The L1X gas fee utility you'll be able to use it on the protocol. But as Merkel said, you'll still be able to use the cross-chain interoperability and not have to have those L1X tokens. And therefore, to be able to do that, it'll just be using the gas fee of I suppose the native or the source chain.
And
Yeah.
and sorry, Spark, just on that quickly, initially at the first phase of the public sale, you only need, if you calculate, right, it's 50,000 L1X coins and you've got $25,000 that's going to be locked into the protocol. But on the phase 2, if you think about it, there is only 50 million coins where you're raising $50 million. So, if you think about it, let's $50,000 that will have to be locked into the protocol versus in phase 1, $25,000. So I think, and you got your P2P trading going on between that. So if you think about it, all these, increasing the total value locked in terms of the staking is where that main focus on the Mainnet-Beta is at this particular moment.
Yeah. And you bring up a really good point for those that are interested in getting these nodes and fairly unique nodes at that, is that the requirement to be eligible to access the node NFT is 50,000 coins. Now in phase 1 this public sale, 50,000 coins is $25,000 US. In phase 2, then that's 50,000 coins would be roughly around $50,000 US. So it's definitely an advantage, and obviously that's also for the event listener nodes. They're 10,000 coins to be eligible to unlock the NFT. So there is a real incentive there to participate now to be able to get that. Also with I just want to talk about that gas fee again, and just to explain how that kind of gas utility token works. Because when I talked before about the staking and the 10 million coins allocated to rewarding validation over the Mainnet-Beta phase, on top of that is also any fees generated. So that also go to reward people staking or hosting nodes. And so how that works, and many members of the community will already know this, but whenever a transaction or the consensus mechanism goes through our consensus mechanism, now that's either could be you on the LayerOneX protocol interacting with a native application on the LayerOneX protocol, or it could be you going cross-chain between any two of the 8 chains we're connected to, Solana to Ethereum, or Binance to Phantom, or Arbitrum to Polygon. Whenever that happens as well, fees are generated. And so it's on top of the 10 million tokens or coins that we've allocated to distribute to people staking, there's also the fee generation that then goes, 50% of all those transaction fees go to then reward those staking on the nodes or hosting the nodes as well. So on top of the 10 million we've got allocated. So that's an important thing to know as well. And in terms of, I think we've covered the gas, we've covered the staking. And so, look, there's a few things. So I know we've covered a lot in the AMA today, and more information. All this information will be put in a blog as well within, I'd say, the next 12 to 24 hours. We'll have it all on there, and the recording of this will be there as well. And we'll notify everybody once that goes up. But also the release of information, there's other information that's going to be released as well coming up. So you'll have more information on the full validator nodes and event listener nodes, the technical and hardware requirements, and the node NFTs. That's actually going to be coming. That's only actually going to be released around the 1st of August. So it's less than 10 days away. We'll have all that information coming out. The light paper of the L1X is going to be coming out, and that should be early August, that light paper. I'm really excited with everyone else to be able to have a look through that. I think it'll get all your DeFi enthusiasts pretty excited themselves. We're going to also be releasing a how-to of the staking process where the L1X coin holders can delegate the L1X coin to stake on the full nodes. And that'll come out around mid-August, so you'll know, okay, what do I need to do when I get my my coins so then I can stake them and have that done. We're trying to make that process as easy as possible. And then also prior to Mainnet-Beta, we'll have the documentation around the smart contract interfaces, standards, configurations, all the developer documentation that'll all be accessible through the developer portal as well. And so that'll be there. So start building on LayerOneX as well. And then later on in Q3, so later on in Q3 of this year, we'll have a bit more detailed information coming around the P2P trading and how the stage is involved and when you can get involved. And then in Q4 of this year, we'll have the kind of preparation documentation for those people who have the NFTs to then go ahead and then how they can host those nodes. And be the first to host those nodes. And once again, I'll just repeat that there is a limited number of NFTs that we'll be distributing to be able to then go and host those nodes. There is a limited number there, and there's two ways. Merkel talked about this: full validator nodes, 50,000 coins, and then the event listener nodes, 10,000 coins. And in the public sale, if you purchase that amount of coins, then you obviously get the right to unlock an NFT. Mike, or Chief, I'll get you to talk about, is there going to be an option for to be able to use Fiat?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mark. We've had quite a lot of inquiries from people wanting to be able to contribute that still don't really understand how to send across stable coins or interact with wallets fully. They're still going through a little bit of a learning process, and what it means is that we had to look at how we can best accommodate those because they want to get involved. There's some pretty excited people out there. I had one guy, I think, I'm not sure if he's actually online tonight, but if he is, hi. Now, he's got together a whole group of people, and just within that small group alone, they're looking at contributing about $250,000. And we looked at that and said, look, part of our protocol is that we want to be able to look after the little guy. We want to be able to support small investors as well. So what we've actually done is we've got two methods that we're looking at to enable people to contribute. And the first one is around essentially an early contribution agreement, an ECA, where they'll fill that in and they can do that electronically and electronically sign it using Adobe Sign. So they don't have to print it and do a wet signature and scan it back in and do all that. Just do it all online. And send that back to us and then provide proof of transfer. The second method, which is taking a little bit of time, not because we've got it's taking time from our side, it's actually setting up with the various on-rampers. There's a number of them available around the world, and we've selected one that we're moving forward with, but they do take time to put in place. The development effort from Merkel Root and the team is, I think, is pretty quick. They can do it very quickly, but it's really over to the on-ramper. So we'll be looking at providing that and actually building that as much as we can into the wallet. So that's where we're at. It'll take a little bit longer for that process, but in the meantime, we'll still allow those transfers into the account. More details will be announced, but what you can do, if you're interested in doing that, then submit an expression of interest at L1X.Foundation/get-in-touch. The details of that will be provided in the blog, and I'll also post that link online.
Excellent, thank you, Chief. Let's have a look here. Make sure we've covered everything. I'll just go ahead and maybe just see there is just really quickly. I just want to give some clarity because I saw a question somewhere about the fees generated that come back to the people staking on the nodes. Now, and I think I saw two people mention this. So what happens when you're using the L1X token as the kind of universal gas utility token on other chains? How are you able to do that? How you're able to do that is because liquidity, because of our X-Talk interoperability, L1X can live on any chain, right? So there'll be liquidity pools that are formed with the native token, native chain token, and the L1X token. So just by having the L1X token in your wallet, let's say you want to transact on Ethereum, you can do that because what happens when the transaction process goes through, it goes L1X to Ethereum, and then the Ethereum is paid into Ethereum's consensus or their nodes for the transaction or the gas fee. And so that portion of the gas fees goes to the chain it's being transacted on, right? So whether it's Ethereum, Binance, Solana. But not only the benefit of having the L1X token in your wallet to be the convenience of that to be able to do it on every chain and not have to have all these multiple different tokens there. With Ethereum, especially, is that now you can actually acquire the L1X token a lot cheaper than you can acquire Ethereum on Ethereum, right? So now it actually becomes cheaper, and just even in that sense, to be able to transact on something like Ethereum, because you can acquire the gas token of L1X for only once in gas fee and not have to acquire ETH on ETH first to then transact. So that's just one little point there. And just lastly, someone did mention about are we looking at off-ramps? That is something in the future we'll look at. The first thing we want to get, so yes, is the answer to that. In the future, more details will be coming later on. But the first thing we wanted to get done, and the first thing we really wanted to make sure is that we had that on-ramp as well. And that's what Chief's been working on, and we'll give you more details around that. I'm conscious of everyone's time. Thank you so much. It's been about an hour and 15 now. Thank you for everyone for attending. We will have the information around around this AMA, so we'll have that in the blog, and we'll also have the recording out for you as well, so you can go through and listen to it. The public sale is now open for general access. Anyone can get in there into the public sale, and as I mentioned before, there's a few exciting things happening in the public sale. One is that you can get your node or ability to have or unlock a node NFT, and that's either through purchasing 50,000 tokens or purchasing 10,000 tokens. So 50,000 for the full validator nodes and 10,000 tokens for the event lister nodes. That's happening at this time, but they are limited. So it is open for everybody. We look forward to speaking with everyone again, and more information to come. But yeah, it's open, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, everyone, for turning up.